Hello, Sorcery fans. Welcome to my final Gothic pre-constructed deck tech video. Today we're going to look at the Savior deck. This is an Earth and Water deck. It contains one avatar, which is the Savior avatar, plus 16 atlases and 36 spell cards, just like the other three decks that are in the Gothic pre-release kit. You can play these against each other, or you can combine them and make a more powerful tournament-style deck. This avatar complexity is 1 out of 3, so we're going kind of back to the basics for our final deck. I'm curious to know if the Savior cards have a life gain, sort of like a healing effect. We shall see. So today's video, I'm just going to go through all the cards in the pre-constructed deck, and then as I open up booster boxes of Sorcery Gothic, I'll get to know all of the cards in the 440 card set, and then I'll start maybe making more advanced deck techs from the Gothic cards. I'm excited to see some of the more powerful uniques that we can pull. There's no foil cards at all in the Gothic pre-release kits, but when I start opening up the booster boxes, I'm very excited to start pulling some of the foil cards and pricing them out for you on the channel. So do like this video if you're a fan of Gothic or Sorcery Contested Realm, and subscribe to the channel, jdj-sapphire, for all my Gothic deck tech videos and box openings. So here we go. Without further ado, this is the final pre-constructed deck tech of the Gothic pre-release. This is the Savior avatar with art by Dan Seagrave. I guessed it. So they gave Dan all 4 of the new avatars. That's very cool. It has a 20 life, 1 power toughness. Its tap ability is to play or draw a sight, and its special ability is to pay 1 colorless to ward a minion that was summoned to this turn. The new component, if you're new to Sorcery with the Gothic set, is that the pre-constructed decks kits come with a collection of 10 cards, which is your sideboard, and some ward tokens and skeleton tokens. So you have the ability to kind of swap some of the cards out of your deck with the collection, which I believe is your sideboard if you play Magic the Gathering. So looking at the cards in this deck, we have an Eltham Townsfolk, which we saw in one of the previous decks. They are mixing up the thresholds a little bit. This is a 1 colorless, 1 earth for 2 power toughness. It's an ordinary mortal, and it's a pretty vanilla creature here, and art is by Francesca Beralt. Fantastic. All right, moving on, we have another Serava Townsfolk. Art by the legendary Quentin Hoover. If you're a fan of previous Sorcery sets, you know they mixed in Quentin Hoover art, so I'm glad they continued that trend. Here is a 1 colorless, 1 water threshold for 2 power ordinary mortal. We have 1 copy of Night Watchman, 3 colorless and earth threshold for a 3 power ordinary mortal, whose Genesis ability is to ward this site, and art is by Alan Pollock. Again, the wards, I believe, came from Guardian CCG, so let me know in the comments if you played Guardian CCG in the mid-90s. We have 3 colorless Makeshift Barricade, art by Doug Kovacs. It's an ordinary monument for the chicken-hearted. There's a little chicken on this card, and if 1 or more allies here would take damage, you prevent it, and if the damage was 3 or more, the barricade breaks. I'm going to put that in my magic / monument relic / instrument. Instruments are new to this expansion. We have 1 copy of Enduring Faith. It's a 2 colorless, 1 earth threshold. Exceptional magic. You ward an allied minion until your next turn. It takes damage for its nearby allies instead, and art is by ML Idzkowski. Welcome to Sorcery, ML. We have 1 copy of Golden Dawn. This is a unique card. This might be the most expensive card in the Savior deck. I'm going to guess this is also $5. 7 colorless, 4 earth threshold for a unique magic. You deal out your top spells, 1 to each site in your back row. You summon any that are minions and put the rest at the bottom of your spellbook. If you are on death's door, they also gain charge. That's pretty cool. That's a unique magic. We have one copy of Malachim. It's a 6 colorless, 3 air threshold for 4 power elite angel with airborne and ward. Ward I think is healing, some sort of healing function in the Gothic expansion. And at the end of your turn you untap Malachim. Art is by Francesca Berald. One copy of the Town Priest by Matthias Frisk. It costs 1 colorless and 1 earth threshold, and it has 1 power toughness. It's an exceptional mortal whose Genesis ability is to return target adjacent evil minion to its owner's hand. Sort of like a boomerang or an unsummoned from, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering. We have 1 copy of Virgin in Prayer, 2 colorless and earth for 1 power toughness. Art is by Lindsay Crummett. We have 2 copies in the deck. Ordinary mortal whose Genesis ability is to ward an allied minion. That's new to the set. We have not seen that card before. Here are 2 copies of Reverend Revenant, or Revered Revenant. It's 1 colorless, 1 earth threshold for a 3 power ordinary spirit. It has 0 power unless it's an adjacent to an allied ward, and art is by Brian Smith. We have 1 copy of Angel Ascendant, 2 colorless and a earth threshold for a 2 power elite mortal. It has airborne and +1 power while it is warded. Art is by Lindsay Crummett. We have 1, let's make it 2 copies of a Survivors of Surava. Again, art by Quentin Hoover. 2 colorless and a water threshold for a 2 power ordinary mortal. And at the end of your turn, if no enemies are nearby, this gains stealth. We have 2 copies of Muddy Pigs. 2 colorless and a water threshold for a 2 power ordinary beast that has Deathrite ability of the You Heal 3, and art is by Alan Pollock. Pretty cool. We have 1 copy of the Mayor of Milborn. It's a 3 colorless, 2 earth threshold for a 2 power elite mortal. Other nearby mortals have +1, and art is by Michael Nejipal. Good to see you again in this set, Michael. We have 1 copy of the Order of the White Wing. It is a 3 colorless, 2 earth threshold, 3 power exceptional mortal with ward. If a minion would be summoned nearby, it wasn't cast from hand, you banish that. Art here is by Elvira Shakarova. 2 copies. Nope, they look similar, but they're not. We have 1 copy. 1 copy of Guardian Angel, 4 colorless and 2 earth threshold for a 3 power exceptional angel with airborne. Genesis ability is to fly to a weaker allied minion and ward it. Art is by Heidi Talifer. We have a Rowdy Boys, 3 colorless and an earth threshold for a 3 power exceptional immortal. Untaps after striking the undead, and art is by Doug Kovacs. We have 1, let's make it 2, let's make it 3. That's the first time we've had 3 cards in a pre-constructed deck. But we get 3 copies of Search Party. It's a 3 colorless, 2 earth ordinary mortal with 3 power. It has +1 power for each search party in your cemetery, and art is by Matthias Frisk. We have 2 copies of Monks of Kolbasa. It is a 4 colorless, 2 earth threshold for a 4 power ordinary mortal. It cannot be modified except by wards. Art is by Juicy Pilkus, and there are 2 copies in the Savior pre-constructed deck. We have 2 copies of Weathered Trunks, 4 colorless and a water threshold, 4 power ordinary spirit. Must be cast to an allied site occupied by an enemy. Art is by the legendary Ian Miller. 1 copy of the Faith Incarnate, 5 colorless, 2 earth threshold for a 0 power elite spirit that has +2 power for each ward in the realm, and art is by Scott Kirshner. We have 1 copy of Flame of the First Ones. 2 colorless. It's a unique relic. Look at that. And art is by our buddy Jeff Mingus. Great job there. Whenever the flames stops at a new site, you heal 1 and your opponent loses 1 life. Very cool. Awesome, unique. I'm going to guess that's $10. I bet this is the best card in the entire Gothic pre-constructed set. Let me know in the comments if I'm right after the set releases. We have 1 copy of Wave of Eviction. It's a 2 colorless, 1 water. Exceptional magic. An allied water site overflows in a cardinal direction, north, south, east, or west, flooding sites there. This turn and carrying away enemies 1 step at a time. Art is by Elvira Pawlikowski. We have 1 copy of Baptize. I Baptize You in the Lake Minnetonka. For 3 colorless and a 1 water threshold, it's an ordinary magic that you ward each allied minion at target water site. Art by Marta Molina. Awesome. Welcome back to Sorcery, Marta. 1 copy of the Divine Lance by Jussi Pilkus. 3 colorless, 2 earth threshold. It's an elite magic. Deals 1 damage to each minion at target site. You may break any number of allied wards to increase the damage by 1 for each. Awesome colored magic there. We have 1 copy of the Holy Nova. It's a 4 colorless, 2 earth threshold exceptional magic. You deal damage to each enemy at the affected locations. You may break an allied ward to center the spell on the location instead of the casters. So there's 3 to the center, 2 to the cardinal directions, and 1 to the nearby locations. That is an awesome magic. We have 2 copies of Smite, a 4 colorless, 2 earth ordinary magic that may be cast to an ally or any ally. Strike target adjacent enemy if it's evil, and you banish it instead. Art is by Alan Pollock. So this deck is much more in the magics spells than the other 3 decks in the set. Finally, looking at the atlases, we got 16 atlases in this set. There's the Troubled Town. We get 2 copies of Troubled Town. It's an ordinary site whose Genesis abilities that you may cast a townsfolk from your collection to this site. We have 2 copies of Blessed Village. It's also an ordinary, this is an earth site though, has ward. We have 1 copy of Blessed Wall. It's an ordinary water site with ward. We have 2 copies of Autumn Bloom, an ordinary earth site with Genesis ability provides air, water, or fire this turn for a tricolor site. We have another Algae Bloom, ordinary water site whose Genesis ability provides air, earth, or fire. We have a consecrated ground exceptional earth site where evil has no power here, so it's protected from evil. We have the Fertile Earth double earth atlas. We have Mudslide, a water site. It's exceptional, and its Genesis ability is you slide all units at land sites into this column 1 step left or right. There is 2 copies of Stream, which is a ordinary water site. We have 2 copies of Valley, which is an ordinary earth site. And finally, we have 1 copy of the Forlorn Keep, an exceptional earth site whose Genesis ability for 2 earth is that you may cast a Persistent Knight or a Penitent Knight from your collection to this site. So that's it. That's everything in the Savior deck. Let me know in the comments what your favorite pre-constructed Gothic deck is from this four set collection. I will upload this to my playlist of Gothic pre-constructed decks. Do like the video if you're a fan of Sorcery Contested Realm, and subscribe to the channel if you want to check out my playlist of other Gothic deck techs on the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in some Gothic booster box openings in a few days. See you then.